Okay, so this is my pollinator garden 4 weeks after planting. Let's do a check-in and see how everything is doing. The Hypericum St. John's wort has been covered in bees, and it blooms for such a long time. It is such a marvelous, marvelous plant, and that gold lights up this garden. The Liatris is now starting to bloom. It's had bees on it as well. Really, really cool. That's a great plant. The Culver's root, that's another bee magnet. Really love that plant, and this is a pretty color. But overall, the garden is looking really great. This plant, Coreopsis, has been blooming since planting. Everything seems to be doing quite well. As you recall, when I planted this garden, I designed around the natives that were here. So this is Goldenrod, not yet in bloom, that had seeded itself here. And I added Oldfield Goldenrod that's grown from native seed at our local arboretum, as well as Pearly Everlasting, which is grown from native seed at our arboretum. It's about to bloom. So my goal was to keep the native in here, add in more native, also ornamental that I have seen bees on, and I feel like it's really paying off. I also kept at the back here the Virginia creeper. I'm going to see how that does crawling along the wall. And if you've watched any other videos, I am not a big fan of weeding because there are going to be other native plants that come back in here, and I want to encourage that because I want them all to just dance around together. So I can see already, this is pokeweed coming up, and this gets a berry on it that birds love. So I'm going to leave that. I'm going to see what happens, because as this garden fills in, I want all of these native plants and these ornamental plants that I have seen pollinators on just start to mix and thrive together and fill in. And this beautiful balloon flower is doing quite well. That was a leftover in the garden, along with then all of this goldenrod, and I believe a native aster. I'm not sure. I won't know that until it blooms, but I have left that. So things are looking really, really great. I'm quite pleased. And this giant Russian sage opened. I mean, this is the biggest one I've ever seen. But that is just, you know, always has bees on it. But besides the pollinators, I have seen so many other insects. I have seen nursery spiders. I have seen dragonflies and damselflies. So I have seen roly-polies or pillbugs, whatever you might call them. I am seeing lots of other insect life, and that is my goal, is to see lots of different types of insects thriving and visiting this garden. And then hopefully we're going to start to see birds visiting. So it's a really wonderful start. And as of now, I've been watering it, a good deep watering twice a week. I'm not saying that's the general rule of thumb, but it seems to be working for this garden. So if you do hand water, just pay attention to how everything is looking and, you know, gauge it for your own garden's needs. Okay, that's what works for this garden, but that, you know, some other gardens during establishment may need, you know, a little bit more watering. So this is it. I am really, really happy. I will put a list of the plants in the description, and I will also note if they are native to Massachusetts or beyond. So check that out and give it a shot. You know, just start adding plants in with pollinators in mind, and choose, you know, different flower shapes, different colors, different heights. That's what the pollinators are looking for. And plant in drifts. You know, the closer we plant like plants together, the more foraging a pollinator can do. So it's just a really rewarding experience to know that you are bringing life to your gardens. So give it a try.